for us today is asked in IELTS Writing Task 2 on 28th of October 2023. So the question says, experts say older people were happier and healthier in the past because they did more exercise and spent more time with their family and friends, whereas now many suffer loneliness and health problems. What are the causes for this and what are some solutions? So as you can see, this question falls into the category of problem, causes, solution essay, where we'll be discussing the causes and solutions, right? So now, before we start with the question, 3 steps that we will follow here. Step number 1, understand the given statement. I cannot emphasize this enough, and again and again, I keep telling my students, you have to read the statement as many times as possible. So at least read it for 4 to 5 times so that you can understand the meaning of it and you know what are we going to talk about. What is the question asking us to do? Are we supposed to talk about older people who are happier or healthier? Why were they happier or healthier? Are we supposed to talk about the contrast between these 2 times? Or are we supposed to talk about why they are not exercising, why they are not spending more time? All of these questions, right, do not transgress into trajectories. We do not have to talk about trajectorial ideas. We have to stay very relevant to the topic. And how can we make sure that happens? If we properly read the question again and again, underline the keywords, the value words, and deconstruct the statement. So let's start with this statement. So this is a long statement. Hence, it is advised to make some underline some of the words and also read it at least 2 to 3 times so that you can understand and grasp what it is asking you to really do. So experts say older people, they were happier and healthier in the past. Why? Because they did more exercise and spent more time with their family and friends. Whereas now many they suffer loneliness and health problems. What are the causes for this and what are some solutions? So see, the question is saying that people in the past were happier and healthier. Why? Because they did more exercise and spent more time with their family. But now they suffer from loneliness and health problems. So why did this happen? Why this sudden transition? This is what we're going to talk about. But when we're going to talk about, we're not going to traject into some other ideas of loneliness and health problems. We're going to directly correlate how loneliness is occurring in the current scenario and why people are not engaging in more exercise. So I'm not just going to talk about the loneliness or health problems. I'm also going to relate it with all the keywords that are given to me. So when we say that people are suffering from loneliness, then we have to connect it with the why people are not spending enough time with their family and friends. We give the reason for that. It has to be connected to both of these linked ideas. Then when we talk about health problems, and in the past they did more exercise, but now they don't do any more exercise. So this idea has also be linked in our answer. That is why I told you to read this question again and again, because this question has a lot of intricate ideas that we have to talk about in our essay. Second step, understand the instruction. Again, very, very important, especially in a problem solution essay. Whatever the instruction is given to you, you have to make sure that you're understanding it correctly. In this particular question, we are asked, what are the causes of this and what are some solutions? Now, the very first thing that goes to my mind is they've asked for causes. That means I cannot just suffice my essay in one particular cause. I have to give them minimum 2 causes because they have specifically mentioned causes and not a cause for this. And then they ask for solutions. So whenever this is a cause and solution essay, we have to make sure that our causes and solutions are linked in together. What do I mean by that? That whatever cause I am giving, you give me the solution of that particular cause. For example, if we're talking about that people do not exercise anymore because of their sedentary lifestyle, let's say, or just the technological advancements that we can just sit back home and do things at our convenience. If that is the reason cause I'm giving for people not being healthier and happier and exercising enough, then when I say about solution, I have to link the solution to that. That since we have technological innovations, we can add some of these things. We can add some, let's say, create an app for these people so that they get a reminder for particular regular exercise or something. So the solution and the cause have to be linked in together. Whatever you choose to write as your cause whatever you choose to, the solution has to relate to the cause. The solution should be for the cause. That is how you maintain that synchronicity in your cause-solution essay. if they had added here, if they had written what are the causes, the effects, and then solutions, then you have to also sync them together. Then we'll be talking about 2 causes, 2 effects, and 2 solutions. Apart from this, when we have causes and solution essay, what will the structure look like? So let's quickly get to the structure of this essay. So for this particular essay, we'll start with the introduction as usual. Then we have body paragraph 1, where we will talk about the causes. Then we will have body paragraph 2, where we will talk about solutions. Do not intermingle the causes and solution. Don't do this like in first paragraph, you're writing the cause and then the solution within it. No. For this kind of essay, we'll have a separate body paragraph for causes, separate body paragraph for solutions. Now, suppose they had also asked us for the effects in this particular question, then we would make a separate body para for the effect if it was asked from us, right? But since it is not, this will be the body paragraph structure. And lastly, we'll end it with conclusion. These are a few things that we have to keep in mind before we even start the essay. That is why it is very important for you to read out more sample answers, sample essays, and see how the different structures work for different question variations. Because the same question can be asked in different types, right? They could have also asked you about your opinion or discuss both the sides. Each time the essay would be answered differently. All right. Last but not the least, generate content. So you can take about a minute to think about what are you going to talk about in this essay. So we have written a prepared sample answer for you that we think are the causes for this, but what do you think are the causes and what solutions will you provide for those problems? So if people are not exercising enough, that makes them suffer to health problems. So what is the major cause of that? One thing that we discussed earlier was technological innovation. Other thing could be sedentary lifestyles or whatever content, whatever cause you want to focus on. And then you sync your solution with it. That the solution to this particular root cause would be this. All right. So let's move on to the introduction that we have written here for you. Introduction. Before I move into the introduction, again, quickly remembering the structure for the introduction. So remember, the structure for the introduction is you start with a paraphrase. Just a minute. Yes, we start with a paraphrase. What do I mean by paraphrase? That whatever the question is given to you, simply paraphrase it, write it in your own words, change the nouns, use some synonyms, change the sentence structure, and paraphrase it. So that means even without reading the question, the examiner must know what your essay is about. And how will we make sure that happens? By paraphrasing the question for them. That is the point of paraphrasing. So whenever you're paraphrasing, remember that this is what you have to achieve. So when you're doing it, you make sure that you do not twist or change the sense of the question that is asked to you. Next, we will briefly add pointers. Now, what are pointers? Whatever ideas that you're going to discuss, you can simply give a very small hint of what issues I'm going to talk about, right? So you can also you can talk about these pointers very briefly in one word. Do not describe them, do not explain them. Just in one line, explain what are the pointers that you're going to discuss in your essays. Last but not the least, a thesis statement. For this particular essay, I think the thesis statement would be the same as the pointers. Because what is thesis statement? Thesis statement is the answer to the given instruction. So the instruction here is what are the causes and solutions. If you already discuss your causes and solutions in the form of pointers, then that should cover your thesis statement also. Now, all in all, an introduction should be around 40 to 50 words. That is the suggested word limit. You can go up to 55 if sometimes it's going longer than that, but try to keep it between 40 to 50 words. That is the optimal length of an introduction. Now let's read what we have written. So we start with the paraphrase. The assertion that in earlier times, older individuals experienced greater happiness and well-being due to increased exercise and more time spent with near and dear ones contrasts with the current prevalence of loneliness and health issues among the elderly. Now, if you see this particular sentence, see how we have paraphrased a lot of things here, right? We've started with the assertion. Instead of saying the experts say, we have started that the assertion in earlier times. Instead of writing in the past, I started that in earlier times, right? So I also changed the placement of these words, right? Older individuals, older people, we wrote older individuals. Experienced, greater happiness, instead of writing happier. And well-being, healthier as in well-being, due to increased exercise, more exercises, increased exercise, and more time spent with, instead of family and friends, we wrote near and dear ones. Contrasts, whereas we've written contrast with the current prevalence of loneliness and health issues among the elderly. So you see how you can deploy some synonyms, change the structure of the sentence, put some words before and some after, and you can paraphrase whatever the question is given to you. All right. Make sure you do not copy paste exactly what is written in the question. Next, pointers. Changes in lifestyle patterns promoting sedentary habits and social isolation are the root of these issues. So see, these are the two things that I'm going to talk about as causes. So here, these are the causes. What are the causes? One, I think, is promoting sedentary lifestyle patterns and social isolation. Why is that? Why is that happening? What are the reasons for that? That I'll describe in my body paragraphs. Here, only I have to talk about them briefly. Solutions involve fostering community engagement through social programs and promoting accessible healthcare services tailored to older populations. So you can see these are the solutions that I'm going to talk about very briefly. Let's move on to body paragraph 1 quickly. All right. So body paragraph 1, as you remember from in the starting, I told you body paragraph 1 would be about causes. So the causes that we're going to talk about here. Number 1, before we started to, what are the key elements of a good body paragraph? So you start with the topic sentence that gives you an introduction to the body paragraph. What are you going to talk about? A supporting statement that supports your argument. You cannot just throw in a one-liner and say, this is my argument. You have to develop it. You have to reason with it. Why is that so? And then you give an example also. So for this, since we're going to write two causes, and writing all three of them for two causes would make our word limit, we would exceed our word limit. So what we can do here is, we can start with the topic sentence, give an idea of what we're going to talk about here, give a supporting statement for that argument, example for that cause, then we can add cause number 2 briefly in the last, okay? This is the structure that I've adopted for this particular paragraph. Whenever I have to write more than one idea in one body paragraph, to maintain the word limit, this is the word structure you can follow through. All right. So the decline in older people's well-being stems from the modern sedentary lifestyles. So this is going to talk about that causes. This is the topic sentence. This reduction in physical activity leads to issues such as obesity, cardiovascular problems, and diminished overall well-being. Then example. A clear example is the contrast between the active routines of older generations who are involved in activities like gardening or manual labor and the sedentary nature of contemporary lifestyle, often characterized by extended periods of sitting. So the example, what we're talking about here, the difference between older activities like gardening, people used to do gardening, manual labor. However, in the current times, the manual labor has significantly been reduced because of the technological innovations, or whatever you can say, the AIs, or our works are more related to the to sitting on a desk and then performing the task rather than involving those physical natured tasks. Then cause number 2, additionally, geographical distances and busy schedules separate older individuals from family friends, causing loneliness and negatively impacting mental health. So see how we have talked about both the physical aspect of exercise and also the loneliness problems, which were asked in the question, right? We were talking about more exercise and spend more time with family. So we have covered both the causes and synced them with these both ideas, and we have fully covered the task that was given to us. So our essay is very, very relevant to the question asked to us. All right. Let's move on to our body paragraph 2. The same structure that we have followed here will be following throughout. Topic sentence, supporting statement, example. Instead of cause 2, we'll be having solution number 2. So let's read this out. 2 solutions to address these challenges involve a multifaceted approach. To start with, implementing physical activity programs specifically designed for the older individuals, can help counteract sedentary habits. And now, firstly, I'm talking about the physical problem, right? The sedentary lifestyle that we talked about. So I'm giving the solution for that. That physical activity programs like this can be designed for catering to this problem. For instance, a community initiative could introduce weekly fitness classes tailored to the needs and abilities of seniors, promoting regular exercise. So this is the example that you can set up a community initiative where people are there for like fitness tailored classes because of their age, depending on their needs. We can promote regular exercise among them. Establishing accessible healthcare services tailored to the specific needs of older populations, such as regular health checkups and preventative care, can help manage health issues associated with sedentary lifestyles. So since we talked about the healthcare issues, we can of course promote exercise as well as we can establish accessible healthcare services for the health problems that we were talking about. See, we have to also cater to the health problems. So it could be increased exercise also and also healthcare services. Then, solution number 2, moreover, establishing community-based initiatives like local senior centers and intergenerational activities can foster social connections, combating the isolation. The only thing that was left for us to talk about was loneliness, right? So we talked about how the people are far away from their kids and family members. So how can we combat loneliness? By establishing community-based initiatives where we have intergenerational activities. That means we can have those social activities, make them meet other people, and so forth. So how we have covered all parts of this question in this particular essay is very, very important for you to keep in mind because examiner, while grading your task response, they'll be looking for all of these pointers that we have talked about. Next. Last but not the least, conclusion. So for the conclusion, you can simply paraphrase your thesis statement. What was your thesis statement here? Where we talked about the causes and the solutions. And remember, in conclusion, no new idea has to be introduced. So whatever you do not talk about any new idea, any new argument, or even an example of what you've already talked about. The conclusion is simply just you to wrap up your entire work and give it to the examiner. So for this conclusion, let's see. In conclusion, lifestyle changes like sedentary habits, social isolation affect older people's well-being, requiring tailored programs for healthcare, physical activity, and community engagement. So these are the causes: sedentary habits and social isolation, and the solutions were tailored programs for healthcare, physical activity, and community engagement. So that's how you can wrap up your conclusion, by just simply putting all together the ideas that we already talked about in the essay, and nothing new has been added here. All right. Now let's quickly look at the entire essay. This is the full essay we have here. So we started off with the introduction, paraphrase, pointers, thesis, if required, body paragraph 1, causes, topic sentence, supporting statement, example, and cause number 2. Similarly with the solution essay, and then a conclusion. So this is the particular essay style. Do not mix cause and solution in one paragraph. Make separate paragraph for causes, solutions. If there are effects, make a separate paragraph for effects also. And if the question says causes, specifically, you have to add 2 causes minimum, solutions specifically 2 solutions, and sync your causes and solutions together. So whatever the cause is, you'll just provide the solution for that. Now let's quickly talk about the 4 assessment criteria that your examiner will be looking for in your essay. Number 1, task response. Number 2, lexical resource. Number 3, coherence and cohesion, and grammatical range and accuracy. Let's first quickly talk about TR. TR is your task response, how relevant your answer is to the question asked to you. So I told you how we underline your value words. We make sure that we cover all the parts. So for our question, the question that was given to us, we covered loneliness, we covered lack of exercise, mental problems, health problems. All of them were talked about in our essay, and the ideas and the causes that we presented, the arguments we presented, were directly linked or relevant to the question asked or the question given to you. So that is how you ensure that your task response is on point. Lexical resource is nothing but a fancy word for your vocabulary. So lexical resource, and you need to make sure that you use different kinds of words, synonyms for your particular essay. In the paraphrase, we saw how we have used synonyms like well-being, individuals, near and dear ones. Also remember for your essay, since it is a more type of an academic writing, you cannot use any idioms. However, you can definitely use some of the collocations. For example, uh, social isolation, sedentary habits. Then we have social programs, physical activity, um, all right. Yes. So these are all the kind of collocations. Collocations are two words that go together very seamlessly. For example, strictly forbidden, not strongly forbidden. So these are all the collocations you can also use in your particular essay. See if you can spot any other collocations in this essay that we have written here for you. So this is how you improve your score in lexical resource. Then we have coherence and cohesion. So when we talk about coherence and cohesion, we need to make sure that our essay is linked to each other. The ideas are linked. There's a structure to it. The coherence, it is flowing seamlessly. So how can we make sure that happens? You can use some of the linkers. You can follow the proper structure as we already talked about. Some linkers like you can say to start with, just a minute. Yes, a clear example. Then to start with, for instance, additionally, moreover, in conclusion, these are all examples of linkers that you can add in your essay that make sure that your essay is linked through and through. Last but not the least, we're going to talk about grammatical range and accuracy. So when I say grammatical accuracy, make sure your subject to verb agreement is correct, your punctuation is correct, you know where your full stops are, you know where your commas are, commas after the linkers, after the clauses, dependent, independent clauses. All of these things have to be made sure. But when we talk about grammatical range, make sure that you use different types of tenses and different types of sentences. What do I mean by different types of sentences? You use compound sentence, you use complex sentence, passive statements, conditional statements. All of these have to be used in your essay to show that you have a hold over the English language. And you, in English, you're in your writing task too, make sure that you at least use one complex sentence per paragraph. That means for this particular essay, at least 4 complex sentences. So what is a complex sentence? So see, a complex sentence is where two clauses come together, an independent clause and a dependent clause. So when you join these two clauses together to form a sentence, that is when you form a complex sentence. For example, establishing accessible healthcare services, then comma, tailored to the specific needs of older population, comma, such as health checkups and preventive care can help manage health issues associated with sedentary lifestyles. Here, tailored to the specific needs of the older population is not independent in itself. It does not make sense if I remove it out of the sentence. So that is why it is a dependent clause. The other clauses are independent clauses, thus both making a complex sentence. This is how you can add more complex sentences. See if you can spot any other complex sentence in this particular essay and try to incorporate them within your essays. All right. So that's all for today. Thank you so much for joining this webinar. For more such interactive IELTS sessions and content, please follow us on LinkedIn and subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you do not miss out on any other free webinars that we are conducting for you. And if you want to access our IELTS classes or enroll in any kind of batches, be it personalized batch, be it your regular classes, you can visit our website at www.unilearning.com. If you have any other queries, you can give us a call at this number. We have all kinds of IELTS classes available for you, mock test sessions, and crash courses. So thank you so much for joining. See you in the next class.